You cannot say that Antifa was designed to kill the people that they don't like.
It doesn't matter what they were designed for, it's what they're becoming. And they are becoming not just radical, they are becoming violent, and they are going to kill people.
Antifa's armed rebellion attempt at the Mexican border, Antifa's Evan Duke and Cobra commander Ivan Riebeling implicated. The sources that I use in this video may or may not be accurate. I certainly do not take their word for it, nor should you. Be skeptical of pretty much everything, but some of my own fact-checking does seem to verify what these sources report, as we'll see. According to the sources we provide in the webpage version of this video, see the link below, the FBI uncovered a plot by Antifa to buy guns from a Mexican cartel in Tijuana and to, quote, stage an armed rebellion at the border, unquote. At 5 a.m. April 29, 2019, the San Diego Union Tribune reported that an FBI document from December 18, 2018, quote, specifies an alleged plan for activists to purchase guns from a, quote, Mexico-based cartel associate known as Cobra Commander, unquote, or Ivan Riebeling, unquote. Not sure, but it does seem that his last name's a pun. You know, rebelling or Riebeling? I'm not sure. But anyway, Cobra Commander, huh? A bit cheesy, but whatever. Ivan Riebeling has a YouTube channel with over 250,000 subscribers, by the way. More on him later. This Daily Caller article was reprinted by Liberty Unyielding and the Clarion Project. The Daily Caller reports that the Chicago Tribune obtained these FBI documents. This was repeated by Liberty Unyielding and the Clarion Project. Now, I searched for an article about this by the Chicago Tribune and I found nothing, so it may be that they're just mistaking the San Diego Tribune for the Chicago Tribune. I guess maybe, you know, reporters do make mistakes, you know. Also implicated in the document is Evan Duke, or Evan Duke III, who is Antifa according to multiple reports and according to social media accounts, GoFundMes, and other stuff that I found myself on this guy. We'll see more of that later. The Tribune doesn't directly say that either Riebeling or Duke are Antifa, but as we will see, I found out that at least it seems that Duke is Antifa, but the Tribune does refer to Duke as an activist and refers to the group of people that the FBI is looking into as, quote, anti-fascist activists, unquote, which translates to Antifa. The only thing is we have to keep in mind that they're not actually anti-fascist, and usually the term anti-fascist doesn't actually refer to people who are against fascism or that fight fascism. It's more like people who accuse moderates of being fascists and go after them. Here's a Facebook account for an Evan Duke. Here's one for an Evan Duke III. Apparently it's the same person, at least they look the same, and they seem to have the same sort of likes and friends and etc. Indeed, if you look at their profiles, you'll see a lot of telltale signs that they are Antifa, including one, you know, where he's wearing an Antifa t-shirt, by the way. And then there's also the Twitter account for Evan Duke III. Seems to be the same guy. So if you look at Evan Duke's photos, his likes, his friends, and his timeline, which I'm speeding through very fast visually, but you can have links to these in the webpage version of this video. And if you see Evan Duke III's photos, likes, friends, and timeline, you'll see the signs that I'm talking about. Also see this GoFundMe by an Evan Duke III, which displays typical Antifa propaganda. The name Evan Duke, there's probably many Evan Dukes out there, so I don't know for sure if it's the same guy that they're talking about in these articles, but it sure does seem so. Liberty Headlines reprinted the San Diego Tribune article, but they did alter it. At least I found this one very important bit here. They inserted the words Antifa activist to attribute that to Duke. That wasn't in the Tribune article, and the Tribune article doesn't say that it was revised, so apparently they just added that consciously. Not very honest. That's not to say that he's not Antifa, because, again, I fact-check these things. At any rate, Liberty Headlines cited this in support of their claim that Duke is Antifa. This article by KPBS, January 16, 2019. Radical American activists flock to migrant caravan in Tijuana. This article discusses Antifa/BAMN's efforts to incite migrants in Tijuana to storm the border, the same stuff that we reported a month earlier in our videos, a number of our videos. See the links below for that. Further down, KPBS reports, quote, some left-wing activists under a collective they call, quote, Caravan Support Network, unquote, say they're taking a more moderate approach with the migrants, bringing food and donations and protecting them from hate groups. No doubt the Nazi Donald Trump is sending waves of white supremacists down there to attack the groups or whatever freaking paranoid fantasy these people believe in. KPBS continues, Evan Duke the third, the third, seems like it's him, stood 6'3" and towered above most of the Mexican police officers stationed at a migrant shelter in Tijuana called Contra Viento y Mario, I guess, on a recent Monday. Yeah, I don't know Spanish at all. I know a little bit of Latin and a little bit of Sprechen Sie Deutsch and nicht gut. KPBS continues, Duke, a 48-year-old anti-fascist organizer from Seattle, had previously faced down white supremacists and misogynists at protests by violent far-right groups like Proud Boys. Oh, Patriot Prayer. Oh, goodness. Folks, those groups are not far-right. And Unite the Right in the U.S. I think they mean the Charlottesville rally, Unite the Right rally. On January 7th, he was with about a dozen younger Americans who'd brought coffee and breakfast burritos to migrants who faced eviction from the shelter. The activists, representing a range of social justice and environmental causes, heard that right-wing and nationalist Mexican groups were organizing a march against the caravan, like one over the weekend in which residents cried, Mexico first, and migrants yes, invaders no. Those racist white supremacist Mexicans. How dare they? Oh, goodness. Further on, they reported, Duke's record includes several guilty verdicts in the state of Washington, and indeed his the social media says he's from Eugene, Oregon, but lives in Washington, for crimes ranging from DUIs to harassment, none more recent than 2012. Duke said he went through a period where he, quote, struggled with an alcohol problem and was very reckless, unquote. But those things are in his past, he said. He has since gotten into environmental and indigenous rights activism, including the Dakota Access Pipeline protest. This article, by the way, also discusses Paloma, hi Paloma, who features prominently in a number of our videos, and who has an excellent channel herself. She does good work for the migrant caravans, but she's not one of those people who either wants open borders on the one hand, or is just totally against the caravan people. On the other hand, she actually is very empathetic and helps them, but is not okay with the open door policy and supports Trump, which is why she gets, harassed, as you may have seen in former videos. I found this Antifa activist webpage is, a good way to describe it, I guess. It's really lengthy, and I looked through and I found this list, let's see here, of confirmed speakers and participants, and look, Evan Duke the third. If you notice down here, by the way, the refuse fascism thing, Sarah Taylor and all those people, those Antifa people, what's the other guy's name? Raffio or something or other. Anyway, an image search for Evan Duke III yields this GoFundMe, another one, a different one, from an Evan K. Duke III, collecting money to get home from Standing Rock. 1,346 raised. Does it really take that much just to go from Standing Rock back to Washington? Anyway, the man in this photo here sure does seem to be the same man identified as Evan Duke in this photo on Facebook that I found on the Evan Duke Facebook account. Multiple photos on the Evan Duke III's Facebook account does resemble the same person, as does the profile image of Evan Duke III Twitter account. In one instance, Duke said he was driving into San Diego from Tijuana at the San Isidro port of entry after delivering supplies to migrants at shelters in Tijuana. When he got near the CBP checkpoint, border officials drew their guns and ordered him out of the car, Duke said. Quote, my first thought was, quote, wow, I don't think this is good. This can't be good, unquote, said Duke. Based on questions investigators asked him, Duke said he believes it's possible that authorities are acting upon information provided to law enforcement by right-wing conspiracy groups. This is a common thing with Antifa. Oh, we're innocent because the police are going on information that they got from, and then, insert bad group, Nazis or whatever. So therefore, if the film or video or whatever comes from Nazis, it shouldn't be used. It shouldn't be admissible. And by the way, the people, the sources they call Nazi sources are typically not Me, Tabby, for example. Anyway, it continues. The Tribune continues. He said a North Dakota radio talk show host bragged on air about reporting him and his colleagues to law enforcement. Yeah, and I bet you this guy is not in the least bit a right-wing conspiracy group guy. Come on. Just willing to bet, based on extensive experience. The Tribune continues, in mid-November, Duke and a group of activists began renting a house in Tijuana and hosting about 25 volunteers at a time, working to counter what they viewed as the U.S. government's violation of asylum seekers' human rights. The FBI's report says the rental house in Tijuana was guarded by armed group members. And now for this freaky guy. Don't know what to make of him because pretty much most of what I found on him is in Spanish, and I don't know Spanish. Ivan Riebeling, pictured here, also faces legal troubles. Reportedly, he has been convicted for kidnapping and robbery, been arrested on suspicion of carrying a concealed and stolen gun in his vehicle, has a record of assaulting officers, and he was arrested in 1997 by CBP for allegedly trying to smuggle about 10 pounds of cannabis into the United States, but the charges were later dropped, according to the Tribune. Here's his popular YouTube channel. You can see he has over 250,000 subscribers. Riebeling denies being involved in arms sales, drug sales, or any cartel. According to the FBI, according to the San Diego Union Tribune, he is, quote, associated with Jalisco, I guess is how you say that, New Generation Cartel, unquote, but he denies his association, according to the Tribune. But also, according to the Tribune, Riebeling said, quote, I have associations with several of the cartels. Yes, I do. But I am not a narco trafficker, and they know that, unquote. So, whatever. Anyway, also Riebeling is described as an instigator in a list of people to stop for questioning at the border by Customs and Border Protection, who said that the people listed were on the scene as violence broke out at the border in Tijuana in November and again in January. You may remember that. The Tribune reports that Riebeling, who, quote, also goes by the names Ivan Del Campo, Ivan Mariano Martin Del Campo, and Jose Ivan Riebeling Sierra, has criminal records in Mexico and the United States, according to Mexican state police documents and confirmed by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, unquote. The Tribune reports that Riebeling had helped a caravan in Tijuana of mostly women and children, but decided that he, quote, no longer wanted to help Hondurans, unquote. The Tribune quoted Riebeling as saying, quote, I can send you several videos of myself attacking the Hondurans because they are my enemies, unquote. The Tribune further reports, Riebeling said he became angry with members of the Central American caravan in Tijuana after he discovered some were selling items he brought them for humanitarian relief like blankets, water, and shoes. Quote, they were exchanging these items for drugs and it made me mad and I no longer wanted to help them and I was vocal about it, unquote, he said. In a video he posted online, he encouraged members of drug cartels to attack migrants with bats and, quote, hunt down, unquote, migrants to take them to Mexican immigration authorities to be deported. Now, because I don't know Spanish, I was unable to locate any such video by Riebeling, at least on YouTube. Maybe one of you can do so and send me a link. If you know Spanish, tell me what video this may be in. The Tribune continues, many members of the migrant caravan were attacked with rocks and tear gas. 2 Honduran teenagers were brutally killed, which is just horrible. Now, folks, if you want to know more about Antifa's, or more specifically BAMN's involvement with the migrant caravans and how they are kind of pretty much unliked by most of the migrants because they're trying to exploit them. They're trying to use them in some sort of imaginary war against Donald Trump by, inciting them to storm the border. If you want to see more on that, I have, 5, 6, 7 videos about that, so you can see the links below for that, and for all the sources that I use in this, photos, and etc. Before we go, folks, I want to encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute, because YouTube eventually will shut us down. I mean, they're going after channels like ours, so sooner or later it's going to happen. Subscribe to us on BitChute, see the link below. Thank you very much for watching. Love, life, light, liberty, and leaping laughter. See you next time, folks. Thanks for watching.